Hey, did you know that this behind me is affordable housing? You probably wouldn't have guessed, and that's no surprise. When we talk about affordable housing, we often think about these old, run-down, rickety public housing, but that hasn't been the case for a really long time. So come with me, and let me show you another one. So is this. In the modern sense, affordable housing isn't a building type at all, but rather an administrative term. For a building to qualify, all the tenants at that building must pay 30% or less of their income towards utilities and rent. And so that's why affordable housing needs subsidies. As a society, we've chosen that each house we produce must meet a certain level of quality based on health and building regulation. And most low-income individuals simply cannot afford to pay enough rent to cover those construction and operating costs. And that's why subsidy is so crucial, to fill the gap and make sure that the project pencils, so that operating and construction costs are offset by rental revenue. That's why it's hard to believe that affordable housing consistently costs more to build than market rate. Not because it's any different, but because of how we chose to pay for the subsidy. In a characteristically American move, we tried to outsource the mission of affordable housing to the market, hoping that it will build normal housing and set aside a specific slice for affordable housing, and then use tax write-offs that we give them to offset the losses. In other words, subsidy was going to be a tax write-off rather than a direct government check. But this imagined developer never arrived. Instead, nonprofits with zero tax obligations became the dominant builder of 100% affordable housing projects. So we ended up in a system where the people that were building the housing were least capable of harnessing tax exemptions. Because turning credits into cash required the small cast of characters, lawyers, consultants, and middlemen, each skimming a tiny fee for their services, the subsidy became much less powerful, meaning the developers had to stack multiple funding sources on top of each other to make the project break even. And as a result, the slow drip of unending billable hours continues to rack up, causing affordable housing to cost more than market rate. So the result is the paradox. What we call affordable is actually more expensive to build than market rate housing. And to solve this, we must simplify. We shouldn't wish away subsidy, but try to make each dollar go further by removing the layers of duplicative review, professional fees, and everything else that comes with every additional funding layer.